what's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. Before I start today's video, I just want to say thank you guys for 20 subscribers. It's a bigger number than last time, and it's an even number, so it counts as a milestone. So hopefully we'll hit 100 soon. But yeah, for now, guys, thank you guys so much for 20. So today's video, I wanted to revisit a topic I talked about recently, which is consistency in coding, and I want to talk about a difficulty that I've kind of reached in my life, like regarding consistency in coding. Since recently, I got a new job at Publix, local grocery store, in like the southern America, like North America, or like southern United States, like Florida, which is where I'm from, and and it's taken a lot of my time away from coding. And I realized that when I said like a bit ago, talking about how coding is all about consistency and you need to do it 4 hours a day and all this, I had it in my mind that people aren't going to be able to do it 4 hours a day, and I kind of said it in the video, but I never truly understood how hard it is to wake up, go to a job, like to like varying lengths, and then actually sit down for 4 hours and code. So I've still been lucky enough, even aside from my college work, to still I'm still able to fit in some like a good 2 to 4 hours worth of coding, depending on how much work or schoolwork I have that day. So luckily, I'm still able to somewhat stick to the routine I had before, just less breaks in between, which I think is kind of good. I'd like to limit the amount of free time I have into like actual productive time. So I have work, I have school, and then I have my free time, which I have like 1 or 2 hours to like of entertainment, like gaming and like media, and then the other time I want to commit to computer science, programming, and all that stuff. So the reason I kind of this came into my mind is recently, if you're into like game development, you're probably aware of the gmtk game jam that happened recently, and I signed up for it with me and my friend, and we had the idea that we were going to go into it, very limited game development experience, probably one singular level of a platformer game completed, and we hopped into the GMTK game jam thinking that we were going to come up with a game in a 4-day time limit, which we didn't. We coded for a day, and then we realized that it's not going to happen, so we just kind of gave up on the project. And that's kind of why I thought of this topic. I'm like, damn, so I'm trying to have a job and do this and say that you need 4 hours a day to program when I barely could make that game as a beginner in game development. So that made me put myself in the mind of a new programmer, and it's probably a very similar experience if they have a job. Which I do feel like, obviously the video didn't get an insane amount of views. I didn't talk to that many people about it. But still, I do feel bad kind of saying that. So I did want to make this video to preface it. I did want to make this video to preface that old at least idea, which I still do agree with to some extent. But as long as you can get in, I want to say 2 hours of programming to 2 to 4. Anywhere from that, I think, is a good amount. I think anything above that is either you must really enjoy your project, or if you're going through it and you really can't stand it, I think that's excessive. Unless you enjoy it, in which case, yeah, do as much as you want. But I do want to reiterate over some of my old points that I do still agree with, which is no 0 days. I think if you have the time, which you definitely should make time, I honestly doubt that if you're waking up at a healthy time and going to sleep at a healthy time, let's say like 7 to 12, or if you're waking up at an unhealthy time but you're also sleeping at even later, so like let's say you wake up at 11 but you go to sleep at 3, you should still be able to fit some time in that like frame, besides your work, besides schoolwork, to learn programming if programming is one of your goals. I think if it's one of your goals, you should definitely make time for it, or else is it really a goal if you're not willing to set aside time for it? So I think the sentiment of no 0 days is still very relevant, and I think you should definitely still stick with it. And some of the points I went over in that video, like no phones or focused learning, I think is very essential. So when you're learning, don't have your phone near you, or have it on do not disturb, and really do not limit the amount of times you click it. So unless it's essential, like you need to call someone for something, I say don't touch it, because the second you open it, you're susceptible to any notification that might remind you that you like TikTok or Twitter or any of these other distractions. And one of the other things I think that's very essential to like getting into the zone of learning how to program is I think ChatGPT is a good tool to have, but I say if you're gonna use it, like limit it and restrict how you're using it. So if I'm gonna open ChatGPT for something, I'm not even gonna have a tab open for it. I'm gonna Google my problem. I'm gonna look through every avenue I can to look up my issue and any way to settle it. And if I can't find anything, and I tried everything I can, then I'll open a tab for ChatGPT. I'll look at my problem. If I solve it, then I'm gonna look at how I solved it. I'm gonna understand the problem. I'm really gonna stress it. I'm not gonna pretend I understand it. I'm gonna look at the reasoning behind it. I'm gonna look up why it works, and only then, when I understand how it works, I'm gonna delete the tab on my browser, and then I'm gonna go back to coding my project. Never keep that tab open, because I think once you have it open, it's as good as a Google for you. You're gonna always go back to it because you're gonna look at your Google tab and you're gonna look at ChatGPT and you're gonna think of it as an easier way of getting your issue solved. When the easy way to learn, or when the easy way of getting your issue solved is not the way that you're actually gonna maintain the knowledge and really understand the reasoning on why it got solved. You can look it up on ChatGPT and not understand it in 10 seconds, or it can take you 5 minutes to solve a problem, but you're going to have that 5 minutes of knowledge follow you for the rest of your career. That's just some of the information that kind of really hit me these last couple of days that I thought I'd talk about real quick. And besides from that, yeah, I think that's all the points I wanted to cover. Thank you guys so much for 20 subscribers, and I'll see you in the next one.